everybody. Happy Wednesday. I am so glad to be here with you today. Hi, Michelle. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. I am going to do something different today. Not French knots. What a surprise, right? It's always French knots, but let's see here. Whoops. Trying to get over to my cameras. I've got a dog on one side. So if you see me reaching like this, it's to give her some pets, because sometimes she wants attention and sometimes she doesn't. There we go. Let's move this around a little bit. Bring this a little closer. I thought I had it all lined up, and evidently I was wrong. Okay. I just need to make some little balls. Sounds good. Okay, thanks, Michelle. There's Sandy. Oh, so glad to see your name at least, even though I'm not seeing your smiling face. So these little balls I make just randomly, and then when I push them together on one of my pieces, and then I can add, my grasses, and we start to get interesting things happening. So I have a whole bunch in this light green, and I really, for the big piece I'm working on, need some darker ones. And I also needed something kind of easy to do today. Sometimes you just need something where you don't have to think so much. So I figured that would be a good thing. And this is a reminder, there will be no live stream next week, because next week is Christmas Day here in the US. It's going to fall differently, I know, around the world. Hello, Terry. How's your kitty cat doing? Oh, man, I think I grabbed these needles from my dull needle thing. Perhaps not the ones I should have grabbed. Oh, well. I'm going to try and have a video up that I can launch at the same time as the live for people that, don't find out about it or don't think about it. But no guarantees. No guarantees anymore on anything. And so this is just literally just some random gathering. I really needed something simple. My brain has been kind of just full. That's the only thing I can say. My brain has been full. But the nice thing about these is they don't take a whole lot of concentration. You can, I happen to have a ton of this fiberfill, but you can also stuff them with all your leftover scraps. Hi, Sue. She said, just got back from what I hope was the last of our Christmas shopping. Nice. Yeah, I'm going to have to get out there and tackle the gift bags and see what all we have. Hey, Margaret. Good early morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Andrea. What's nice about making these little puff balls is you don't need to follow a pattern, and it's a good way to use up all those small scraps. And I've got some white ones cut that I might work on next week. And before I do the circle, before I gather them, I'm going to add probably some beads and French knots and stuff on some of them for a future project. Sandy says, I love seeing all these names pop up. Yes, me too. It feels like a hug. It really feels like a hug. And I'm not trying to make them perfect circles because, I'm not really that good with perfection. I realized I have a pom-pom maker, but I don't like it because it makes perfect pom-poms. I prefer to make my own irregular pom-poms. Terry said Opal is feeling better with the meds. She's finally hungry but can't smell her food, so she doesn't understand that it's good to eat. Oh, poor thing. Terry's cat has pneumonia, and that pneumonia is not good for anybody, 2- or 4-legged critters. Sandy says, Merry Christmas to you all. Yes, Merry Christmas. And so really, this is how raggedy I do the underneath, because it doesn't matter. Because by the time I get it down here and I push them all together, and then I probably add French knots or something, so it's just not that big a deal. And I could probably do this as Trapunco too, but I think I like the poofiness. I might do some like that though, where, in just a minute, and I will show you what I mean by that. Let's see here. Michelle says, poor thing, hope she feels better soon. So with Trapunko, what you would do is you would have one piece of material and you have another piece, and you would put your stitches on the flat, and then you would cut the back and you would stuff it that way. And so you wouldn't get quite as round a ball, but sometimes that might be a good thing. All right. Michelle says, poor thing, hope she feels better soon. Terry said, thank you. And Andrea's wishing everybody a Merry Christmas. If you hear heavy panting in the background, it is not me. It's Miss Tally, who just got back from a walk. Oh, and then I'm going to upset her because I cough. Coughs and sneezes. She's still not a fan yet. She wants to go into Daddy's office. And he shut the door. Yeah, there we go. Poor thing. The other night, we were watching TV and I sneezed, and we looked down at her in front of us, and she was just shaking. Her whole body was shaking just after a sneeze. So I don't know what sets that off. Hey, BJ. Hello. I remember seeing your name on comments, which I have not caught up on. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for all your kind words. I remember you had a white shepherd at one time as well, right? Thank you for following. Tell us about yourself, BJ. What kind of creative work do you like to do, and where are you located? We all like to get to know each other. Michelle said, Susan, did you figure out how to stitch your water scene? I think I'm going to go with a long and short stitch, because I'm doing something else with the hills that looks a lot like bullion knots, but I might change my mind and do bullion knots. I can't make up my mind. So I guess no, I need to do a couple. The thing is, I don't want everything to look like it's bullion knots, but it would be completely different. So I might do bullion knots, or I might do short. I guess those are the two things I've narrowed it down to. It will never, ever be satin stitch. I can't stand satin stitch, and satin stitch can't stand me. I think a split stitch would also look nice, but I don't want to have to pay that much attention as I'm doing it, if that makes sense. And I have to a split stitch. Plus I don't know. I don't know. I have to just do some samples, which I just haven't gotten around to yet. Terry said, I took a mini nap after cleaning 3 chicken coops. That sounds like a lot of hard work. We momentarily contemplated chickens when we moved out here, and then decided, no, too much work. Hey, Barbara. She says, good afternoon, Susan, in chat. Hope you're having a good day up there. Wendy said, hello, everyone. Hope you are having hope you are all well. Merry Christmas from myself, family, and toddler tornado. BJ said, I'm in Idaho, 28 years as a crazy quilter teacher. I do landscapes and seascapes. Oh, wonderful. We have several other quilters here and crazy quilts. Oh, one of these days, I might actually attempt a crazy quilt. I keep thinking, whoops, sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the frame. And I'm sorry, this is not a real exciting thing, but it is something I need to do. And as I'm contemplating this huge piece that I want to do, there are a lot of components that I need to get made up ahead of time. So that may be a lot of what you're seeing. And I might do just some regular videos. Barbara said, cool, BJ. I've done landscapes, a few, but want to do more. Love that. Wendy says, hello, Barbara, Andrea, Margaret, Big Mama, and all. And Terry, too. See, they don't have to be stuffed really hard. So it's because it's just when they're massed together. And I can never decide what size to cut the circles. So I like I've got a big bin of these in the studio, and I just grabbed from them, but I realized I had used all my dark greens. Margaret says, hi, BJ, love Crazy Quilt. Mostly I've done them by machine with machine embroidery. And BJ, we are lucky enough to have people here from all over the world, which is just really exciting, not just here in the US. So those of you that are coming in now, this is a reminder, there will be no live next week because it is Christmas here in the United States. And I will try to have a video up for that day, but no guarantees. I don't have a whole lot of energy lately. You know, I can't seem to work all day long. And there is a lot of, medical stuff that's been happening in the last 6 months, and still going to PT and have more doctor stuff coming up. And that's just, I guess, part of getting older, is what my mother reminded me. All right, so now when I look at these two, they're two different, slightly different things. BJ said, I am on a Facebook page called Crazy Quilt Divas, 10,000 worldwide. Wow. So now, and I have a lot of this velvet. So I'm looking at these. Yeah, I still like both of the darks with it. I have a combination. It's going to be a big piece, so I can have multiples to choose from. I've just been doing lots and lots of components. I wasn't knotted, and then I was. I know Crazy Quilts don't follow, a precise pattern, but I think that's what's always kind of intimidated me, is feeling like I needed to follow something. And I know I don't, because I can't. I mean, I tried to, I shouldn't say can't. I choose not to. I don't want to shit on myself. I choose not to follow a pattern because they usually frustrate me. They take me back to high school home ec class when everything was supposed to be perfect, and none of us at that age could do perfection. And I think work that is imperfect is much more interesting. I am thinking I probably need to kind of roughly figure out the background size of this big piece, just so I can kind of gauge how big things should be. But I also don't want to keep myself married to it. So it's like, I'm going to be working in small sections. So I tried to make myself a pattern where I would say, this is the blue, this is the green, this is the brown. And that got very frustrating very quickly. But I think I have a rough idea of the shape of the back. So if I do that, then maybe I can then just pin it up on the board and go from there. Sue said, I think it must have been considered character building to shoot for perfection. Maybe. I like all our individual characters instead. Wendy says, I must look that up, BJ. I do hand embroidery and enjoy crazy patchwork with the embellishment. That's the embellishment part that I like, but I think I have a problem staying flat anymore. I'm just so into going vertical. Yeah, I like this. This is a great use for, you can buy, at the thrift shops, you can get clothes really cheap in some really nice fabrics, women's shirts. In fact, I want to hit the thrift store before Christmas because that's when like a lot of the velvets are going to be out. Sandy said, I never saw it as perfection. I always thought of it as a standard of excellence. I guess as long as you don't get yelled at for not achieving it. I didn't have encouraging teachers. I was in a meeting last night where they were talking about how people that believed in them and that were told that, they believed that they could achieve things, actually did better than people, big surprise, right? Did better than people that either were ignored or were told that their work wasn't good enough. And the message was to surround yourself in supportive environments like we have here. Sandy said, I love that Susan's standard of excellence is the organic. You take that extra step to make us feel like it is nature we're looking at and not man-made. Thank you. And that is the goal. And it's one reason why, some elements I really struggle with, because I either don't want to add particular things to them to a piece because the texture is not right, they don't feel organic, or they don't look like they belong in nature. I don't have any here handy. I left them at the other chair. I've been experimenting with trying to do little flowers and pops of color that I can add to things, and trying to do them with the little scraps of bright colors that I have left. And sometimes you come almost close, but it's not, it just looks too fake, I guess is the only way to put it. And then a couple of them came out, I think, pretty nice. So I'm looking forward to experimenting some more. Wendy said, I went to an all-girls school, and the pressure to be perfect with the perfect parents, perfect grades, and perfect extracurricular activities was awful. I'm glad to be average now, and I love it. Wow. Yeah, that would be, I had enough of that pressure with the extracurricular activities, with skating and horses. That was a lot of pressure. But then there was also pressure from home to have the perfect grades. And then I wonder, as I'm an adult, was it pressure or was it implied pressure that, I put on myself? I can never tell anymore. Michelle said, I dislike measuring things in my fabric journals and I remember feeling that way in my sewing class. Yeah, I could never. I mean, when we had to do the patterns, I like the picking out of the pattern. I like the picking out of the fabric. I did not like the trying to lay the fabric out and with the pattern and make it all fit together right. I think that's why I've stayed away from the idea of quilting. Is just, I'm in awe of people like Sue Brown and Barbara and Wendy that can do that kind of stuff. Margaret, the piecing together to make all the blocks work together. Terry said, perfection is overrated. It doesn't allow for expression. Margaret said, too right, Terry. Excellent point from Sue. Yeah. And we need that. No matter if we all sit down with the same materials, we're not going to end up with the same thing. I mean, you can get those kits, right? Whether it's an embroidery kit or a needlepoint kit, stuff, whatever kind of a kit. And you still aren't probably going to end up with something exactly like what you see on the picture. Wendy says, good news. I got the chocolates, alcohol, and Christmas cake is halfway done. Well, I think that's all you need, right? Is a Christmas cake like a fruit cake for you, or what is it? If you want perfection, buy a puzzle, and then you can put it together, and you're going to end up with something exactly like the picture on the box every single time. Sandy said, I know when I work on a project, I want to walk away feeling that I gave 100% of my very best. I know what I can do, and that's what I measure it by, not what others think I should do. Right. Well, and we all know, we shouldn't shit on ourselves, even though it's very easy sometimes to feel like we should have done something differently. Michelle said, we didn't have mixed media art in high school. I would have loved it. I wonder if they offer art journaling in school these days. It's a good point. Yeah, they didn't have, the art that we had in school was more like, not graphic design, industrial design. So it was traditionally the class that the boys took. And there really, there was maybe a drawing class, but not much. There's photography was big. One of my friends took the photography class in high school, fell in love, and that became her job, which was kind of cool. Wendy said, yes, a traditional English fruitcake. I tested the brandy. Well, that's an important part, right? You need to make sure that everything is going in. You've got quality ingredients going in. I've been trying to do some experiments to come up with the little things that would come up off the moss. So, I mean, I have my grasses, but the moss would have like these little knobs on the end. And Lemon Pepper Studio, she's done some beautiful things like that, but she uses resin, and I don't like to work with resin. So I'm kind of playing around with some ideas on that. Somebody, I think it was in the Train Diorama group, they were doing something I thought would work. They had flocking, like for Christmas trees, and then they would, they would take whatever the long thing was that they were going to do, and they would dip the tip in flocking, and I thought that might work. Michelle said, I was part of the camera club. That was fun in the dark room and stuff. Sue said, I remember my mother making fruitcakes. Brandy for another alcohol was involved. I never had a taste of the raw ingredients except for the cherries. Fruitcake was not big in our house. I don't ever remember seeing it around there. We did lots of things with nuts. It was tradition. We had nut trees. So we always did sugared walnuts and roasted almonds. And, oh, she probably did something with apricots because we had apricot trees too, but I didn't like apricots, so I didn't care. I think we did candied apricots maybe. Wendy said, Sue, I had to stop hubby from grabbing too much of the dried fruit. I think if it's something you grow up in, you miss it, that it's got to be there every year, but I think it's definitely an acquired taste. Of course, I guess everything's an acquired taste, right? This is a good TV project too. I like having simple things that I can do while I'm watching TV that I don't have to concentrate on a lot. This material feels so nice. It's not quite velvet and not quite wool. It must be some kind of a polyester something, but I think I like them better when they're not super hard stuffed. Sue said, I could never understand the bad rep fruitcake has. I liked my mother's. Yeah, I think it's what you grow up with. I really do. We never had it, so I didn't see it until I was an adult and people were fighting over it, and I no, one bite, couldn't do it. But then I don't like fruit either, so that might have something to do with it. Wendy said, it is summer here, so we will be having a barbecue. My daughter is working Christmas night at a petrol station night shift. I think you call it a gas station. Yes. She said, I don't think I have the recipe, though. Never made any myself. I wonder if it's one of those things, too, that tastes better if it comes, like some foods, they seem to taste better when somebody else makes them. Michelle said, my mom made fruitcake. It was all natural with lots of nuts and apricots, really rich, nothing like store-bought. My mom was into health foods big time. Ah. Terry said, I love fruitcake. It's good with apricot brandy, too. Just, pass the brandy. I'm good with that. Just pass the brandy. We had champagne last night. My husband had made a beautiful quiche. And then we always have champagne with the quiche. Yum. This is good. I think I might finish the amount of the dark ones I need in the live, and then I can do something else. Is anybody watching any good holiday movies? Anybody seen what's the new one that's on, is it Amazon, or maybe it's on Netflix, the big red one or the red one? Wendy said, my mother got the recipe for our cake in 1973. Our family has always used it. We've never bought from the store. I would imagine homemade of anything is better than the store-bought, right? At least in my book. Wow, Michelle, your mom was really ahead of it. She said, I remember as a kid in the 1960s going to the health food stores regularly. There weren't a lot of them around in the 60s, though, so you had to go looking for them. Barbara said, the last 2 years, my brother and sister-in-law in Texas have sent us a fabulous Texas pecan pie. I sure hope they do it again. A good pecan pie. Yum. Is it one where you can taste the pecans? It's not so sweet that you just feel like you're just eating sugar. Sue said, my mother's recipe would have been from the 1950s or earlier, from her mother or other ancestor. Yeah, pecan pie, yum. They started popping up in the 60s. Yeah, I can't remember. I remember gyms were starting to pop up. The local mall had a gym with a swimming pool that opened up, and my mother and my grandmother joined that. Margaret, let's see. Do I not see anything from Margaret? I don't see anything from you, Margaret. I'm paging down. And the last thing I saw was about quilting. It's thick with whole pecans. Oh, Barbara, that sounds good. Maybe I need to contact some friends in Texas and ask them to send us a pecan pie. Gremlins, Margaret, I'm sorry. Gremlins. Yeah, Crazy Quilting was the last one I saw from Margaret as well, and I did read that one. But if there was something else, I guess we missed it. Oh, I was just wondering if anybody was watching any of the holiday shows, like the Red One or any of the new ones, if any of them were worth watching. We always watch The Hogfather at Christmas. That's kind of like our tradition, but didn't know if there was anything else worth watching. Margaret said, on Christmas Day is my granddaughter's birthday, so we tend to have a cake she likes rather than the fruit cake. Cake is good. I like cake. Sue said, we watched The Bishop's Wife the other evening, the original. Hogfather, based on a Terry Pratchett book. Somebody wants to kill Santa Claus, so much shenanigans ensues. And of course, it has a happy ending. Margaret said, I do like fruitcake, but it has to be nice and moist. Can't stand dry fruitcake. Well, dry cake of any kind, not good. Barbara said, it also comes in a lovely wooden box, which I now have on my desk where I keep my most often used stamps. It's printed on the edge, made in Texas. I'll see if I can find out where it came from. You know what? I have one of those out in the garage, and I'm trying to think. Maybe my husband's friend sent us one many, many years ago, and I saved the box, but I can't remember the pecan pie. I love pecans. Barbara said, I am watching the old series New Amsterdam, which I never watched. Just got to the one where they were reacting to Roe versus Wade and its implications. We really like that show. We like medical dramas, and there are not a lot of them around anymore. We also like the Good Doctor. And the new stuff we've been watching that we really like, well, newish. Shoot. Now I can't remember. I'm going to draw a blank. Terry says, likes, please. Thank you, Terry. Margaret's going to go get a cuppa. Terry said, we just finished Manifest. Have not seen that yet. Oh, we liked House. Yes. House, Good Doctor, New Amsterdam. Transplant was a good one. Only a few seasons. We're watching Rivals with Aidan Turner and David Tennant, and Ludwig, which is on the BBC, which is a nice little cozy mystery. No Good Deed. You liking that, Michelle? I did just see that last night. Saw it popped up on my feed. And when the needle doesn't want to go through, I grabbed needles that were not exactly designed for this sort of thing. So Wendy said, I enjoy crime dramas when I have the chance, and enjoyed, oh, we like Vera and Midsummer Murders and Bones. Yes, all of those have been good. My Life is Murder, like that. Whitstable Pearl, we like that. That needle just isn't very sharp. We're just waiting for baseball season. We started watching hockey for the first time this year because baseball season is so far away and football only happens once a week. It's a dark comedy. We'll have to see. We tried some other dark comedies. It didn't quite make us laugh, like Bad Sisters. Could not get into it. So over on Instagram, I posted a picture of some of the yarns that I bought recently. I might need to do a video on all the new stuff, but I think I got it all put away, but I could pull it back out. My Christmas presents to me. Michelle said, I've been watching the Chiefs and the 49ers. Yeah, I'm just watching the 49ers, but they've been kind of hard to watch lately. So we've been watching the Sharks play hockey. Kind of fun to see a young team starting to come into its own. Wish there were more art shows around. We like the Great Pottery Showdown. Oh, thank you, Barbara. She shared the link for the Texas pecan pies. Well, that wasn't a very big knot. Didn't work. So did everybody decorate for Christmas, or do you put trees up or do other things? We don't have any decorations up. So I live vicariously through seeing the pictures from other people. Michelle said, I know I need more crafting shows. Yeah, I mean, of course there's YouTube, but I like seeing like interviews with the artists and behind the scenes and more transformational stuff. I don't want to watch a bunch of tutorials anymore. That's just not where I'm at. Yeah, exactly. Sue said the problem with putting decorations up is that they have to come down and get put away. And then all that time, it's a lot of time. I mean, if you have company coming or you have young kids around, then totally. We'll have to get the Christmas music stations playing soon. Boy, the wind suddenly picked up. Terry looked it up. She said, Barbara, the box is $15 more, you lucky gal. Sue said, our decorations have become more minimal over the last few years. A lot of people in the neighborhood have outdoor lights on. We can look out our windows at night and see all the bright colors. Not quite sure about the purple lights all around the tree, but maybe that's for the young college gal that's home for the holidays. I don't know. Wendy said, we put up a tree, some wall hangings, some ornaments. All have to be above toddler tornado height. No tinsel, as he would tie it to his toys and tow them around. What about your dogs? Your dog getting into it? Barbara said, well, I'm keeping that box. It's a great size. Yeah, if it's like the one I've got, it's perfect for stamps. You know, Michelle, we didn't have fog out here this morning. Did you? We were up early. For some reason, Tally wanted to get up early today. Sue said, if it weren't for our adult son, we wouldn't have 90% of the decorations that are up. Oh, first fog. Well, you know, we get a lot of the fog up here on the mountain, but up on the ridge of the mountain, but not today. They say it's warmer than it has been, but I guess I don't have the fire on, so it's a little bit warmer. Barbara said, we put up a little tree. We put up a little tree these days, but we keep a string of lights on our mantle and curtain rod all year. Yeah, I've got little fairy lights in a few places around the house, and we've got those battery-operated candles where the wick looks like it was just burned out. I love them. I've got those all over the house, but they're up year-round. Michelle said, I'm cold today. I have the heater on. Wendy said, the older two dogs don't bother, but the puppy got a hold of hubby's shoes. We try to make sure Bacon can't get a hold of anything. Yeah. Yeah, shoes are a big thing with Tally. Shoes, slippers, socks. So we can't leave them within reach. Sue said, I leave so many of the Halloween decorations up all year that Son wasn't sure which to put away and which to leave out. Oh, Terry said, we keep our tree up all year. No, we have no place to store it. Lights go on in December. Oh, interesting. That could be kind of fun. You could decorate it for the seasons, right? All the different holidays that we have throughout the year. I don't know why I did that, but it doesn't really matter. Michelle said, you must have a big house, Terry. Barbara said, the first year we got the artificial tree, we left it up all year, and Linda changed the decorations for different seasons. So we had a spring tree and a Barb's birthday tree and a Halloween tree. Fun. Had a friend in high school whose mom put trees up in, I mean, it wasn't a huge house, but she put trees up in multiple rooms. So there was the family room tree, and there was the living room tree, and there was a dining room tree, and the kids had trees in their bedroom. It was kind of crazy. All right, this is a mess. Here, I try to be ahead of the game by threading my needles, and I didn't pay attention, and I didn't wax the threads. And so we can either untangle, and if it's too much of a pain. Terry said, I have my winter coat on. My PC is in the cellar with the Christmas tree. Oh my. How have the sales been going for you at your Christmas store, Terry? Oh, and speaking of stores, Friday is the last day of my Etsy shop with my paper printables, my eco prints, and any of that kind of stuff. I am closing it Friday night when I go to bed, and it is not going to open up again. I'm done with Etsy. I'm done with printables. So if that's something that you like, my prices are pretty cheap over there, and I think I still have the 20% off sale going. Wendy said, my mother had a thing for having a clock in each room. We even had 2 clocks in the same room. It drove us crazy. I like having clocks in every room, but they have to be silent. All right, so this does not want to cooperate. We're just going to cut that off and not worry about it. Sales have been good. 1 more week. That's great. Hey, look who's here. Hi, Angie. How are you? Happy holidays to you. Gosh, I bet you've been busy making stuff like crazy. I'm just making little balls to put on my wildscapes. Michelle said, Wendy, I have scissors in every room. Yes, that too. No, the shop, the Etsy shop. It's just under my name, Susan Taylor Brown on Etsy. I should have grabbed the link ahead of time, but yeah, it's just all the digitals. I just since I'm not working with paper anymore, and yeah, they're like little and shoot, somebody even cushion moss. I think somebody had looked it up for me once. And again, you can do so many things with these. Before you stuff them, you could do a bunch of French knots. You could bring little threads through. You could do beads. And you get different effects depending on which material you use. I've done it with kind of like a Sherpa kind of material. You get a completely different effect. But I really like to, mass them together. And I'm not crazy about this shape, but when I stitch it down, I might do something like that. Here, let me grab it real quick here. Oh, 25% off. I forgot that. So everything in the Etsy shop is 25% off. There's the link. Ladybugs, yeah, you could put ladybugs on them. There's just all sorts of things you could do. You're welcome, Barbara. And please share the link with any paper-loving friends that you might know. I'm not active in any of the paper groups anymore, so I don't feel like I can do that. But if you know of any of those, feel free to share where it's okay to share, because everybody's got different rules. And I'll post it in the Facebook group as well. But it's just trying to streamline my life a little bit, which always sounds really good in theory, sometimes a little bit harder to do in practice. Thanks, Barbara. Yeah, so Friday's the last day. Yeah, it just feels good to be able to concentrate my energies in the same way that I'm trying to use up, when I've got little bits of fibers, I'm trying to use them up so that I can concentrate on using the fibers that I really like. Unless sometimes you go to the thrift store and you just can't resist because there's a bag of scraps that just call to you. Wendy said, Sue Brown, we have one in our kitchen we got as a wedding present. It stopped working. We need to get it fixed. I have one in the bedroom that was always in my grandmother's bedroom, and it's never been able to get, every time anybody tried to repair it, it never lasts for long. But it's this little house, like cottage, like this English cottage. And I just like looking at it and thinking of my grandmother. So it stays in there. But yeah, we have them in every room. I think, just about. And I got to get a replacement for one. The loudest one that I got that's kind of still ticks really loud is in the hall bathroom, so that I don't have to hear it in the middle of the night. I got to have me quiet. Sue said, I think the only room we don't have a clock in is in the living room. Nope, we got one there too. Well, our weather station has a little clock on it too. And then, of course, the kitchen's got the microwave and the stove. I think maybe I like them not overly stuffed. That gives me more room to shape them. I have one in my bathroom, but hubby doesn't. He needs one in there. Oh, yeah, we have one in both bathrooms. But one of them is really hard to read because it's not very bright. I'm thinking it might even be easier to like stitch some of these together before I put them down. But I won't do that yet because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with stuff. I really do like having all these components ahead of time. I realized the other day that I like getting the base down and then putting all these little things, all the little extras on to bring it to life and to go vertical. Sue said, yeah, counting the microwave and the stove, we have 3 in the kitchen. Oh, our kitchen's not that big. The stove and the microwave are plenty in the kitchen. Michelle said, my coffee pot has a clock in it. Yeah, our old one had one of those too. Sorry, I keep sliding out of frame. I'm tired today too. I did not sleep last night past about 3:30. I have no idea what was going on in my brain. All right, I'm not going to fight with this. Hi, Michelle. I think I have seen you here in the past maybe once, so I'm glad you're able to catch us. Yeah, I'm not doing anything super exciting. I am just making little puff balls of mossy goodness to put in the big project that I'm working on. Margaret said, we only have a clock in the open plan living room kitchen. We have 2 in there, one on each end. It's a big room, 24 by 18 feet. Oh, wow. How are you doing this holiday season, Michelle? I hope you're well and been nicely creative with the things that you want to be working on. Reminder for any of you guys that came in late, there will be no live stream next Wednesday because it is going to be Christmas Day, and I suspect I will be going over to my in-laws to chow down on some yummy food. But I'm going to try and get a video up before then that will launch at that time. We'll see. This is like the last of that dark material, so I definitely am going to have to go thrifting and see. Flannel would be a good one to use for this kind of stuff too. You'd get that kind of a fuzzy look. I'll do some where I put these on another piece of fabric on a hoop, and I could do like some turkey work on it. Wasn't sure how fast these would go, but they're actually making pretty good progress today. Sue says it's been hard to get any stitching done this week. I'll be glad when everything is settled for the holiday. Yeah, I get some of those weeks. I mean, whether it's a holiday or something else where it's like, is it Saturday yet? It's like if I make it to Wednesday, I'm usually good through Wednesday. But it seems like lately it's been Monday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I think last week there was something every day of the week. And I don't do good with peopling every day of the week. I need to have some non-peopling days. We live a pretty quiet life here, and by choice. I find when I've been spending a lot of time doing components like this, though, it's hard for me to get back to just doing French knots. So I need to get better at shifting gears. Or not. Maybe that just means I'm supposed to be doing more components for a while. Then I fall down the rabbit hole. I'm looking at Pinterest and YouTube to try and get ideas for how I can, do something. And then that, of course, you get lost down there for hours. Sue said the sun is actually shining at the moment. I just realized how dirty my studio window is. Yeah, we've got blue skies over here. I think for us, the rain is supposed to come back on Saturday. I think it's just one day and then a couple days of no rain and then more rain. So, but at the moment, it doesn't look like it's supposed to be wet on Christmas. So that's good. Margaret said, I'm always glad when Christmas is over. Life can then get back to normal, and it's the start of our holiday month here in Australia. Yeah, this fabric just doesn't, I wonder if this was like an upholstery fabric, maybe. It's got a very interesting coating on the inside. I don't care. I will use whatever seems like is going to work. But I do want to hit the thrift shop while they have all the holiday stuff out, because I think there'll be a lot of velvet. And I love the look of these in velvet. So I kind of want to look and see if I can find some Christmas greens and some white for the white pieces. I have an idea for a big white piece that I want to make to enter in shows. And some white velvet would be really good. There's no rhyme to a reason to how many stitches I'm doing on this. Sometimes I think it's just kind of meditative to just keep poking the needle through the fabric. Pulling the thread feels good. All right, I'm going to call that one done. Let's do the easy ones. I'll get 2 more of those cut. Margaret said, January always brings a lot of tourists to Nimbin, and the gallery always sells a lot of our art sells. Oh, that's good. Here's wishing for some good sales for you. Andrea says, I like the distressed leather one you made for another piece. Yeah, I've got to get some of that leather out and do some more of that. That's a good reminder. Thank you, Andrea, because it gave a completely different look. I have a bunch of brown yarns that came in that I'm anxious to experiment with. Trying to think of different ways I can do hills. And I might just have to do some couching with some of the really big jumbo yarn. Trying to envision in my brain, if I'm making a piece that's like 2 by 3 feet, or maybe even 4 by 2 feet, how big each section needs to be. It's be an interesting process. But I'm excited. I can tell the growth that I've had over this last year is that I'm not looking at it and saying, I have no idea what to do. I'm looking at it and saying, oh, this is going to be so cool. I can't wait to, get to the next step with it. So I totally feel capable of doing it. Even if I don't know how I'm going to make some of the stuff work yet, I know I'll get there. And so that kind of confidence is definitely a change for the better. I used to be so focused on how afraid I was of everything, how to do everything, not knowing how to do things, how it would be perceived by the rest of the world, being judged, all that crud. And somebody pointed out to me not long ago that I'm not that person anymore. I don't have to be afraid. I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. And honestly, at 66, if I can't do what I want to do and make what I want to make, when am I going to do it? I just need to do it my way now and not worry about any of the other stuff. Could have used a little bit more stuffing in there, but that's okay. This will be a good stopping point when I get there. Yeah, and Barbara, I know we've talked about this before, but boy, sometimes I just need to be reminded. We're not 20-something anymore. And I watch people on Instagram, especially that are younger than my kids, doing lots of amazing things and selling like crazy. And I don't know that I get jealous, but I get frustrated. And I don't even think I want to say wasted time, but just time that was spent differently. And I've become very aware of the passage of time now, and how I don't have another 60 years in me. So I need to be doing what makes me the most happy now, and that goes right back to everything I believe about creating. If you're making something that's not giving you a good time, you need to go make something else, because life is too short. So there we have, I have lots of little mossy bits to add to my big piece, and then I can add grasses and all sorts of other goodies to them. That's going to do it for me today. I am so glad to see so many people here hanging out with us. Oh, Barbara said at 82, I'm so dang grateful for the decisions I've made, where I've ended up, what my days are like, and how I can live each day within that creativity and comfort. I'm truly blessed. Oh, Barbara, that is the way to live and think about everything. Yeah, it is pretty already, huh? It's my colors, it's my greens. Everybody that celebrates, please have a wonderful holiday. And again, no live stream next week, but hopefully a video. And then I will see you guys the following week. Bye-bye, everybody.